Chapter 9. Mrs. Mason Hill. Danielle stood in front of the mirror. She didn't move. She didn't speak. She barely breathed. Small, quiet breaths inflated her lungs as she stared at the person in the mirror. The dress she was wearing was tight around her neck, despite it not being on her neck. It was a sweetheart line, so if anything, it was as far away from one's neck as it could be. The person in the mirror wasn't Danielle. No. The person in the mirror was thin and bony. They were scraggly and shivering. Their hair was thin and pulled into a tight, messy bun. Their hazel eyes were dead with a lack of life or energy. This person was not Danielle. She was sure of it. Danielle smiled tightly and brushed her dress down as if brushing away her worries and stress. She sighed deeply and blinked harshly. Her bracelet felt tight on her wrist, almost like it was squeezing her bones. She ignored it and the bad feeling in her chest. Danielle forced herself to grin in front of the mirror, hoping to see a change in the reflection. Unsurprisingly, it didn't change. She opened the changing room door and focused on taking steady steps to the viewing area. Her feet ached in the high heels, but she felt the pain was grounding, almost as if she deserved it. Danielle held her head high, God forbid she didn't, and floated into the viewing area. It was empty, by demand of her mother-in-law, although monster-in-law would be just as apt, save for 3 women, 2 men, and a few staff members. Danielle felt small in the company of those mentioned. Even though she had overcome so much, she felt so tiny, small, and vulnerable. The 3 women were not of her choosing. Her monster-in-law, Marlene, and her 2 sisters-in-law, Adele and Maxine. All of them had some kind of problem with Danielle, but she never knew why. They would poke at her face, at her clothes, at her job, at her hair, at her friends, of which she didn't have many anymore, and even her mum. Danielle never even really interacted with Adele or Maxine for many reasons. On one occasion, she caught Adele stealing some of her jewellery from her room. Upon threatening to call the police, she finally gave it back. Maxine was cruel enough to bully her for having Amelie when she was 16, of which she didn't have much choice. The baby daddy's family, who she's glad don't bother with her anymore, caused all sorts of issues when Danielle was ready to either give Amelie up for adoption or go the other route. She ended up keeping the baby to keep the peace between the 2 families. As soon as she'd given birth, the baby daddy changed numbers and moved houses. A loud cough forced Danielle out of her treacherous mind and into the present.
It'll do. I'm not sure why he's marrying you, but the dress, it does make you look thinner, so it'll have to do.
Danielle swallowed thickly, choosing to let the insult run down her back. She stood on the platform and turned around so she could see the front. The dress was beautiful and did indeed make her look thinner, not that she could get any more so without developing a problem. It was a sweetheart neckline, enhancing the little cleavage that she had. The sleeves were cut off just below her shoulders and were edged with diamonds. It clung to her body, but an extra piece sat at her waist like a cape. If she wasn't marrying into a horrid, vile family, Danielle would be sobbing at the sheer beauty. But she was marrying into a horrid and vile family. And Danielle was indeed sobbing, just for the wrong reasons. Mason, don't you think it's still a bit too early? I mean, we've only been dating for 3 months. Danielle voiced to her boyfriend of just over 3 months.
Well, that doesn't matter, mi amor. As long as I love you, they will too. I promise.
He reassured her. Okay, if you're sure, Danielle replied. She bit her nails. You still need to teach me Spanish, jerk. You promised me that as well however many weeks ago. Mason snorted and brushed a bit of her fringe away from her eyes.
Well, to be fair, I've been busy, and I only know a little.
Danielle frowned. But you're part Spanish, she argued.
Yeah, my nana was Spanish, so I'm only a quarter. And anyway, when my nana moved to England, she learned English very quickly and taught my mother both languages.
So why don't you know more then? Danielle asked. Mason shrugged his shoulders.
I honestly don't know. My mama doesn't speak it very much. What with my father, I think she's forgotten a lot of it, to be honest, especially since my nana died. especially since my Nana died. I think she tried to forget it.
Danielle hummed softly, curling up on the sofa. There isn't much you can say after that, is there? The room fell into an awkward silence for a while before Mason wrapped his arm around her shoulder.
In any case, she'll love you.
4 days later, Danielle was putting on her best outfit and quenching a panic attack, for she was about to meet Mason's mother. Mason had texted her earlier that day with,
"Oh, by the way, my mum's really into proper dressing, so wear a skirt or dress."
As planned, that was what she was going to wear anyway. She found her soft yellow, well, more beige than yellow, but the shop assistant insisted it was a soft yellow, shirt, and paired it with her black just below the knee-length skirt and some small heels. She asked her mum to put her hair into a braided crown while Danielle did her eye makeup. She settled on a shiny beige eyeshadow colour, and then applied her waterproof, smudge-proof mascara and eyeliner. As her mum put the final pins in her hair, Danielle applied some of her peach nude lipstick. She walked up to the mirror in the hallway and spun around with a dramatic flourish. "Well, mother dear, what do you think?" Avalon slowly walked out of the kitchen, grimacing. Danielle's smile faded a bit. She felt guilty for going out today. Her mum was struggling. She knew her mum would need hers or a carer's help now for the rest of her life. Something happened a few years ago and it caused some problems in her brain. It misfires signals and causes all sorts of problems now. Because of that, though, they found out that she had muscular dystrophy, so that's a good thing, right? Danielle was the only one of her siblings who seemed to care about her, not even Amy, who worked in the medical field for God's sake. Simon and Thomas were pretty absent anyway and complete asses, so she was a little glad they wanted nothing to do with her or her mother. Jack stung, though. They were like twins when they were younger. The key word being was. But that was a story for another day.
And wear protection.
Danielle blinked harshly. "I beg your pardon?" Danielle choked out. Her mum stared.
What? What'd I say?
Avalon glanced around with a frown. "Mum, I'm meeting his mother, not making grandchildren," Danielle exclaimed. Her mum tutted with a small smile.
They'd be really cute.
"Mother!" Many months after the wedding, she held a gender reveal party for their first baby. Correction, Danielle didn't want a gender reveal party. She wanted a low-key, handing out cards with the baby's sex on. But no. As soon as Marlene caught wind she was expecting, she demanded they threw a gender reveal party for everyone to attend. Danielle didn't want to attend. Her feet were sore, her back ached, she felt nauseous, her stomach hurt. Everything hurt, and Marlene wanted a party. Danielle tried to voice her concerns to Mason, but he wasn't interested. He dismissed her and handed her the red dress she wore on their date night 4 years ago. "But Mason, this isn't going to fit me now. I'm 5 months pregnant," she exclaimed. Mason rolled his eyes.
If models and actors can have kids without gaining weight, you can as well. Put it on.
When she refused, Mason slapped her. The reveal was forced and awful. Danielle nearly cried. She was expecting twin girls. Mason didn't say anything besides,
"Great, cool."
Marlene shrieked and cried that she had an affair. Adele and Maxine demanded she had a paternity test when the babies were born, jumping on the bandwagon that her delusional mother-in-law was on. Both of the babies arrived safely, albeit early, 3 months later. They both ended up in the NICU for over 4 weeks. Mason didn't care for them at all and instantly suggested they try for a boy. Danielle refused as she was going to have her hands full with the twins. Mason threatened to leave if she didn't. 8 weeks after her daughters safely came home, Danielle was pregnant again. Mason's first question was,
"How long till we know if it's a boy?"
Danielle had tightly smiled. "Probably a few weeks. I only missed my period last week, so maybe 2 months." Mason hassled her after every prenatal appointment with the same question.
"Is it a boy? Do you know yet? You should know yet, shouldn't you? You should know yet. Why don't you? That was your 20-week scan. Why don't you know yet?"
Danielle grew to the end of her tether very quickly. "Mason, back off. I can't control how well the doctor looks at the baby. I will tell you as soon as I know. Now leave me alone. I need to collect our daughters from my mum's. Little did he know that Danielle did know the gender of the baby. She'd been told way back on her 12-week scan. It was another little girl, but she wanted the doctor to tell him that, which went about as well as she could have expected.
Are you joking?
Danielle shut her eyes and sighed quietly. The doctor hesitated in scanning her belly.
I'm sorry?
She'd asked.
You're joking. Ha! Very funny. Now tell me, when's my son due?
Danielle met the ultrasound tech's eyes.
A few years?
She cringed softly. Mason's face dropped into its signature look of disgust.
Your daughter, on the other hand, is due mid-October. Probably the 14th by the looks of it.
This time, Mason didn't hold a gender reveal. He was already planning when to try next for a son.
So, it looks like your peers will be back by Christmas. So you should be pregnant by January, if we start right away.
He'd said one day. Danielle glared. I'm not a breeding cow for you, Mason. We'll have a baby when we have a baby, she snapped. Mason grumbled about how unhelpful or cooperative she was, but Danielle ignored him and continued feeding their 8-month-old twin girls. Girls he'd forgotten about in his insane quest for a son. Danielle never worked out why he was so insistent on having a son. It's not like he had a company to take over, not like it should matter what child takes over a business, but it did matter to him. The rest of her pregnancy rushed by, and the 14th of October came and went. Danielle sat, miserable and in pain, for nearly a week before her newest addition decided to arrive. She drove herself and her daughters, now nearly a year old, to her mum's when she felt the contractions. Early morning of the 19th came, and her screaming daughter was born.
Oh!
The midwife exclaimed. What? Danielle panted out, exhausted from the delivery. Is she healthy? She panicked.
Yes, don't worry. Our baby's perfectly healthy. Except she's not a she. She's a he.
As soon as she had the energy, Danielle rang Mason.
What?
Wow. I was going to tell you that the baby arrived safely at 8 pounds 2 ounces this morning, she snapped.
Uh-huh. How long until we can try for a son?
Danielle blinked. Are you serious? She asked.
Well, yeah, I need a son.
Mason replied. Danielle scoffed. Wow, if you were here, then you'd see for yourself. The ultrasound tech was wrong about it being a girl. We've got a son. Sure as hell, Mason arranged a huge party to celebrate their newborn son. After many weeks of pleading, he agreed to have it as a joint birthday for their twins as well. His whole family turned up alongside Avalon and Sandy. They had both fussed the girls while Mason's family fussed their baby boy. I woke up in phases. I think I woke up briefly, the nightmare about Mason waking me, but I can't remember much apart from shouting something and falling back asleep. First it was sounds, like mumbling. No distinguishable words, but sounds. I could identify tones of voices, like if it was a man speaking or a woman. It sounded like women predominantly, mostly medical professionals if the to-the-point and briskness of their voices were anything to go by. Mostly her heart rate is increasing, or make sure her O2 stats don't drop. At one point I was convinced that I heard Levi, but then I thought, why the hell would an interstate criminal visit me in the hospital? Moreover, the fact that I'm the one that's after him. But then the new drugs would reach my bloodstream and I'd pass out again. I didn't like feeling like this. Vulnerable, exposed, and like I wasn't in my body. A few times I woke up, it was Miller on the chair by my side, or some other bloke whose features weren't clear enough yet. I presumed he was a doctor or maybe someone from work. Thinking on it, I'm not entirely sure why they were pumping me with some sleep medicine, most likely propofol, when they only wanted to monitor my post-apparent seizure. But whatever, I'm not paying for it, that falls on the medical cover I have with work. My dosage had been reduced when I woke up a few hours later, as I felt more functional. But, my God, I wish I didn't. The mystery man whose features I didn't recognise? Yeah, that turns out I did recognise him. The slicked back brown, nearly black hair. The cold, unfeeling blue eyes. It was Mason.
Ah, you're awake. I was beginning to think you'd died.
He muttered, picking his nails. Then grinned like a shark.
But I can only be so lucky.
This man, I swear to God. What, and I cannot emphasize this enough, the fuck are you doing here, Mason? Shouldn't you be dead? I sneered. Mason stared back at his nails, not looking at me anymore.
Probably. A normal man would have been.
I stared into his heartless eyes, the eyes I once loved to look at, the eyes my daughter has, trying to read him. He nodded. I shook my head. Don't try to change the topic. What are you doing here? I snapped.
Oh, I'm gonna kill you.
And how are you going to do that, genius? In case you haven't noticed, we're in a hospital where people are walking around every day and cameras are in every corner of every room, I snapped. Sure, I knew I was baiting him on, but it felt really, really good. Also, if he charged at me, I could end all my problems with it not even being my fault. The cameras would show it was an act of self-defense. Mason huffed a laugh, like a scoff. He put his hand to his chest as if I'd shot him. Oh, how I wanted to.
You truly think me so inexperienced?
Yes. Yes, I do, I replied, deadpan. I knew I was egging him on, and I knew it was a very dangerous and stupid thing to do, but he'd pissed me off, and I can be very petty in retaliation.
You think I'd leave the camera running? Honestly, that is rookie work.
I suddenly felt very, very small.
No.
Mason continued, oblivious, not that he'd care, to my discomfort.
While you were sleeping. You're welcome for that, by the way. I interfered with the signals for the cameras with a small app on my phone.
One thing I'd learned while being with Mason and tracking his dad was that they talked too much. They always boasted about their super successful plans, leaving the victim time to try and work a way out. So, having asked for training in this after my last encounter with him, I knew exactly what to do. I slowly moved my left hand to my right and pulled at the wire connected to my heart monitor. I twisted it so that it came unconnected while Mason was too busy explaining how easy it was to kill someone and get away with it thanks to technology, rada. I looked around and pulled out the other wires in my hands. Thanks to Grey's Anatomy, I knew I had about 3 seconds before the monitor started screaming and alerted the nurses. I then started to jolt and flap my hands around. I'm very sure I looked like a fish out of water, but I needed time to work out my plan. I jolted heavily, letting my arms flap and shake. I needed the asshole to leave, and if faking a seizure was the way to go, then so be it.
What the hell?
Then, as if by magic, the monitors blared almost deafeningly as I seized. It didn't take long for the door to slam open as a barrage of medical professionals burst in. In the chaos, I caught sight of him retreating into the hallway.
Her heart rate's dropped.
Check her O2 stats.
Roll her on her side.
Satisfied that Mason had left, I sat up calmly. The room went deadly silent.
Ma'am?
I cleared my throat. Sorry about that. I wasn't seizing. I just needed to get somebody out. The woman glared.
And you thought faking a potentially life-threatening problem was the way forward? Why on earth didn't you just shout? Or press the call button?
I glared back. Because I've been dealing with this man long enough to know how to get rid of him. He would have known if I pressed the button and best case scenario strangled me, I snapped back. Truth be told, I didn't think of those solutions. Don't get me wrong, I still wouldn't have got away with it, but in any case I didn't think about it. Mason was far too smart for that.
And why haven't you called the police then? We're going to have to put some outside your door now. So you'd best mean what you say.
A few of the other nurses snuck out, closing the door behind them. He will get past them, you know. I can say what he looks like, but he'll still get past them, I said, holding my arm out for another nurse, a petite blonde, to reattach the monitor lines to my hands.
Whatever you see, miss.
The younger doctor resigned and walked out, the older one following swiftly on her tail. When the door clicked shut again, I reached for my phone and dialed Miller.
Clarke, good to hear you're not dead.
He greeted. I couldn't help the small smile. At least some things haven't changed. That's not nice, but enough pleasantries, Miller. I need your help, like ASAP, I said.
What is it? Are you in danger?
Miller asked back. Yes, Mason is here. Mason's in the hospital and he's after me, Miller. I need backup, I said quietly.
Give me a location. I'll be there ASAP.
Jackson Memorial, Neurosection, Floor 5, Room 28B. I paused. And please hurry, I whispered.
I'll be there as soon as I can, Clarke. I promise you'll be okay.
Miller gently spoke through the phone. His caring voice surprised me. It's not myself I'm worried about, Miller. If he's in here with me, I might not be able to stop myself from doing something permanent, I said. I could hear Miller pause.
Just stay put. Get a nurse in. Whatever. I'll be there soon.
I was on my phone, desperate to try and distract myself. Emily's parents had sent me some photos from a play she did earlier in the week, as I was obviously not in England at the minute.
We make beautiful children.
I didn't say anything. I just kept looking at my phone.
You faked it.
Mason said quietly. I, again, didn't say anything. This must have infuriated him. The metal bed frame rattled with the force of his punch.
Did you go deaf in the last hour? I said you faked it.
I couldn't help the snort. I faked a lot of things in our relationship, Mason. He was deathly silent.
You know I'm going to have to put you down now, don't you?
He whispered. I glared. And you know that's not going to happen, do you? I retorted.
Don't make me do this to you.
Well done on the audition, Mason. Oscars make way. Do what, Mason? I haven't done anything to you. It's you who's done stuff to me. If anybody has the right to put someone down, it's not you, I snapped.
You had me arrested.
No, you had you arrested. All I did was protect myself, I hissed. If you didn't insist on stalking me for weeks after the incident in the nightclub, then you wouldn't have been caught, I snapped. Mason rolled his eyes.
Well, you shouldn't have fucking spied on me then, should you?
I growled. How did you find me anyway? I changed everything when I left you. Mason grinned.
You're not the only person I know in MI5.
I scoffed. A dirty agent, I sated.
It wasn't hard to obtain what I wanted to know.
He said smugly. Okay, but how did you know that I was in Miami? The only people that know that are my boss and my partner, and they're FBI, not MI5, I argued. Mason shrugged.
Well, someone told my source, so maybe you should be more careful around the people you're with.
I laughed. Coming from you? Oh, I must be in the wrong company. But he got me thinking. I hated nothing more than being thrown into a loop, especially from him. Yet, he was right. The only people who knew about this case were the Cobras, that name still gives me the ick, Miller and Agent Evans. So, who was the rat? It's gotta be the Cobras, right? A cold snake whispering Jack snuck into my heart. I swallowed it away, compartmentalizing it for later. How did you get past the police outside? I asked, switching gears, trying to sound disinterested. Mason sighed.
They're not very good at their jobs. It was a simple dart to the leg. Quick-acting sedative.
I frowned. 1. Why a sedative and not a killing agent? And 2. How did you get them both at once? Surely one of them was aware when one of their partners suddenly dropped to the ground, I asked. Mason shrugged.
1.
He mimicked.
If too many people die at once, you risk dragging unwanted attention, meaning more unwanted attention when they get put down. 2.
He held up 2 fingers condescendingly with a shark-like grin.
An inside buddy.
He winked. Then he launched over my bed and reached for my throat.